Hey, I'm Jay Kapoor, and I predict that in 2021, Tim and I will be the last VCs left in New York.
And I'm Tim Katt, and since Jay's tuning in from New Jersey, my prediction is that I'll be the last standing VC in New York City. This is the Partner Rundown. All right, Jay, this is our last Partner Rundown of 2020, so we thought it'd be fun to do our predictions for 2021. Let's start with our first topic, celebrity and influencer. Jay, what do you got? What's going to happen in 2021 in the world of celebrities and influencers?
Yeah, Tim, well, we talk about a lot on the game plan that athletes and celebrities have gotten really active in their own entrepreneurial ventures, starting their own companies. I think 2021 is a year that we're going to see multiple billion-dollar exits for these celebrity co-founded and co-owned brands. The reason I feel so confident about it, for one, is that there are almost 40 SPACs totaling $16 billion in capital raised that are directly sports and entertainment connected. And they're looking for these properties that they want to take public. Now, with some of these SPACs, I think the reason they're going to gravitate towards celebrity-driven brands is simple. They're realizing that in consumer today, there's not a lot of sustainable acquisition advantages. But as we've talked about time and time again on the show, that celebrities aren't just offering a product or a service they're selling, they're offering access. And that access creates a mystique and creates a lot of interest from potential purchasers. And then you start to create repeat purchase behavior and you start to form habits. So I think that's why 2021 is going to be the year that we'll see multiple billion-dollar exits in this category.
I actually can't wait to see what happens with all of those sports-related SPACs. I'm a little bit pessimistic myself on that, but I'm going to head upstream and I'm going to go with celebrity-backed companies, specifically celebrities getting venture capital as modern media companies. So when we think about modern media companies, we've heard all about media commerce being a salvation path for media companies to sell merch or products, but influencers are already doing this. We have a 9-year-old who's the highest paid YouTube star ever, who made over $30 million last year. So you might ask, well, why do they need to raise venture capital? I think it's a great way for them to de-risk, to hire full-time, to bring in the operational expertise, to do things, whether that's in toys, other merchandise, apparel, beverage. We're going to see these modern media conglomerates born out of these influencers like Jake and Logan Paul, David Dobrik. They're already doing it on their own, but it's going to become an even bigger thing in 2021, and I can't wait to see where it's headed.
So Tim, 2020 was a bit of a weird year with the gyms and the spin classes closed. A lot of us were working out at home, but I want to hear what your health and fitness predictions are for 2021.
I'm excited about this one. I think 2021 is going to be the year of actionable insight in fitness and tech. What do I mean by that? Well, anybody who listened to our episode of The Game Plan with Femi Ayambadejo knows that there's an opportunity for fitness apps and wearables to go a step further. So if wearables 1.0 were Fitbit telling you how many steps you walked, 2.0 was Whoop and Apple Watch, I think 3.0 is something that actually gives you more insight into how your body's responding to the things you eat and the things you do. Specifically, I get really excited about continuous glucose monitors, which sounds like kind of a weird thing to get excited about. But you see companies like Levels and Super Sapien bringing this technology that's been used with diabetes patients now into the mainstream. And I think it's going to really help the everyday consumer learn more about their body and learn what they need to do to live a healthier life.
That's actually really interesting, Tim. I'm going to take it in a different direction. I think 2021 is the year that Peloton goes on an acquisition spree. And this might feel like cheating because just last week they announced the $420 million acquisition of fitness company Precor, but that's one that I would consider more of a vertical acquisition. They're doing it in order to increase their capacity because of the massive demand that they have seen in 2020 that they've struggled to keep up with. But what they have, in addition to $1 billion of cash on the balance sheet, is also a stock that has gone up, I think, 6x since its IPO. This is a darling company in the public market, and it has the ability to access cheap public capital to go and make more horizontal acquisitions. So what that might mean is they go out and acquire whoever it is, the Peloton of boxing, or the Peloton of rowing, or the Peloton of running and yoga. And what they do is take a company that might already have figured out the blocking and tackling of delivering a product to somebody's home direct to consumer, and they add to it that special Peloton flair of content and community. And that's when it starts to be really special. You might show up to Peloton because you want to come there for spin classes, and now suddenly you're hooked on boxing. Or you might come for, yoga and meditation, but now suddenly you're really taking charge of your life in some other fitness category. So I think Peloton has the cash and capital to play with, and 2021 is a year they get highly acquisitive.
All right, Jay, I'm dying to know, what's your biggest prediction in media for 2021?
Well, Tim, I hope this doesn't sound too self-serving because you and I host a podcast every week, but I think 2021 is the year that Apple finally gets back into investing in podcasting. Now, that might seem like a pretty silly thing to say because they are the default podcast app that most people listen to their podcast through. But what we've seen in the last year and in the last couple of years is they have ceded a lot of that ground to competitors like Spotify, Amazon, and now even Netflix that's starting to do a lot more, experimentation with audio content. Meanwhile, because podcasting is not really a major part of Apple's revenue, they really just haven't invested in creator tools or analytics or really any sort of, programmatic advertising. I think they're going to wake up and realize that if they don't start investing in podcasting, their competitors are going to take that market out from under them. And this is a market, by the way, that, is a little over $1 billion today, but is growing at the rate that it's going to be, tens of billions of dollars in the very near future. So I think 2021 is the year that Apple finally wakes up and invests in podcasting.
Well, Apple could certainly start by changing their playback settings to allow 1.2x, like our friends over at Spotify. Jay sounds especially fun at that playback speed. I'm going to take it back a bit for my prediction, back to movie theaters. I think they're going to make a huge comeback in 2021. This is absolutely my least popular take. Maybe it's the Midwestern in me. However, I think people just miss doing things together. I know I do. I know I loved going to the movie theaters when those were available. You saw independents like Alamo that were blowing up and doing really, really well before the pandemic. So I think that movie theaters come back in a huge way in 21. I also think there's an opportunity for an acquirer, maybe somebody unconventional that you wouldn't expect, like Netflix or Amazon, to come in and reinvent what a theater looks like, reinvent what content distribution looks like, where some of the miniseries hits that they have on their OTT platforms could translate into some sort of limited release in the real world, where diehard fans of these miniseries could come together and experience their favorite shows together. So I'm excited to see that. I think there's other ways that esports could play a role here, and I'll be first in line with my Skittles and popcorn.
All right, Tim, get out your crystal ball because now I want you to tell me what is a category that you think is going to go mainstream in 2021.
Well, I thought you'd never ask. Let's take this back a second. Last year was definitely the year of the retail investor, the rise of Bitcoin specifically. And so what does that mean for 21? I see a huge boom in fractionalized assets. Those same types of investors are going to expand their investment into things they know and love, like trading cards, like vintage cars, maybe even other collectibles like sneakers. And they're going to do it through platforms like Rally Road and Masterworks. I even invested in a company recently called Dibs, which is launching. It's taking it a step further. It's creating the platform where trading cards are the asset that backs the value of athletes as an index. So if you're not an expert in any given trading card, you can be an expert in the athletes that are on that card and invest in the athletes themselves. So I'm excited to see fractionalized assets boom, and I believe 2021 is going to be the year that happens.
Yeah, that's right, Tim. I think what you're talking about is the value of democratization. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I actually think what we're going to see in 2021 is an increase in these celebrity video learning platforms. So, what I want you to think about is something like a masterclass. And masterclass has had a lot of success over the last couple of years because they get the best of the best to come do a, 5 to 6 hour series on their respective topic, whether it's cooking or writing or public speaking. But now, what if we want to go a step deeper, right? We want to find niches that we're interested in. So if it's cooking, I want the masterclass for cooking. Or if it's bicycle repair or motorcycle repair, I want the expert. And what we're seeing is, look, on YouTube, you can find a lot of people that'll walk you through these skills that you might want to learn. But where we are today as a society, if we're going to pay for content, we just don't want to go on YouTube or Skillshare and learn from some dude. We want to learn from the dude. And so that expert opinion is, I think, a lot of the reason that people are going to turn to more of these niche platforms where they can actually find the celebrities or experts that they want to learn from, and they can pay a monthly subscription in order to get that expert advice.
Well, that's certainly why people tune into what we have to say here on the Partner Rundown. My final prediction for 2021 is that there will be many more Partner Rundowns. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next year.